Thank you.
So that's an enthusiastic response, and you get that pretty much everywhere, I'm guessing.
I thought that this crowd had an especially grammar geeky outlook. And I would like to thank that man right there who was extra in the third row, you in the blue sweatshirt. Yes, I really appreciate the energy of your laughter.
Well, in fact, there are a lot of grammar geeks here because I recognize a lot of people from my career in journalism locally, and we are constrained by AP style or our own different journals style, which can be individual. But just a fantastic film, and a lot of things to get to. But I want to start with, before you did the grammar table, what were you up to? Were you teaching? What were you doing before you decided to do the grammar table?
In a way, I have always been a grammar table. No, we have a company together. Brandt and I have a communication skills training firm called Syntaxis. And actually, at the beginning, you may have seen the name of the production company is Syntaxis Productions. So I teach writing, and Brandt teaches oral communication skills. So it's a word life.
So, and you've been doing this since college?
I originally thought I was going to be an academic, so I was in a graduate program for comparative literature. But I left that and moved to New York to write back in 1990. And then in 1984, I met Brandt, who's had the most confusing combination of careers, which you should summarize, because I can't, it's too confusing.
Okay, I was a math major undergrad, but I loved language. My mom used to write poetry and recite it to me when I was a little boy, which I really loved. I was an investment banker, played professional basketball in Europe after that.
See?
Played on tour against the Harlem Globetrotters, have written several plays, and now this is the first film that I've produced and directed.
So no films before this? No films before this?
No.
Okay.
First time filmmaker at 58. Although he's now 59, but that was last January. He was only 58.
Well, an incredible job of doing that, and interesting that you wrote plays, because one of the things I really enjoyed in the film was the differentiation between what is correct style, what is not splitting infinitives, not ending with prepositions, other things, and how we communicate, and how commas can make for different rhythms and so forth. Because in playwriting, obviously, you use punctuation in ways that you might not use it in other grammar, because you want to weight the speech in different ways. You want to have different pauses, different things that happen. And that's not necessarily the way that it is in conversation or in regular formal academic writing, right? But what made you decide, okay, we have this company, we teach communication skills, but I want to take this on the road. I want to make a grammar table, and I want to set this up. What made you decide to do that?
The initial motivation for the grammar table was grammar hedonism. I just really love language. And I was on the computer a lot, which I'm guessing is an experience a number of you have had in your lives. I just felt by 2018, which is when this idea came about, I was online so many hours a day, and it just felt a little bit soul and body destroying. So really, the grammar was just taking my interior life and putting it out on the street and doing more or less the same things. And I just did it for fun. And then Brandt started
Lurking.
I
would sit around on a park bench nearby and just watch what was happening. This was September of 2018, and by December, I had begun filming because I just thought what I was seeing was so cool. I wanted other people to be able to see it, and I just thought I need to start shooting this.
Well, it's sort of a perfect storm, because at the end of the film, and you talk about what is at the heart of all this in terms of communication and people face-to-face and talking to each other. And that comes at 2018, when it's reaching the peak of social media and nobody's talking to each other to begin with. They're all social media and texting and emailing and not being face-to-face. And then COVID happens, which stopped you in your tracks, and it also stopped a lot of face-to-face communication, and you see the difference between what happens in the street, the way that you did it. I mean, humor obviously was first and foremost the thing that happened, and I think that's a good way to start communication in general. but it's a combination of not only the humor that comes from the grammar and the way we talk to each other, but it's the face-to-face part, it's the positive energy you put into it, the kind of, that sort of thing. And it really makes such a difference. But you knew right away, I mean, you have your own sense of humor, but it came out in everyone that talked to you about their own issues. And you brought that out in them, but it also comes from the language. Can you talk about that a little bit?
It's very funny to hear anyone talk, for me, to hear anyone mention humor and me in the same sentence, because I really was very unfunny, I think, most of my life. And there's something about having a grammar table sign in front of me that just, I don't know, it just feels so joyous. And accepting, at least leaving open the possibility that every person coming up to me is interesting or has something new to bring to me. And I'm getting lost in my syntax. Look what you did. But I don't, I've lost track of what the question was.
Well, I'm talking about humor and how you brought it out. And you said you weren't funny, but I think that your eagerness to laugh, your eagerness to find humor is what engages people when they're talking to you.
Well, I do remember in school that teachers would say things like, oh, I learned from the students too. And I often thought, oh, that's really just something that people say. But it does really feel like that on the street. There's so many things that Brandt and I hear about language, in terms of language, that we wouldn't know about if someone hadn't come up to us, say, in the streets of Minneapolis or wherever. It's really educational.
And I can say, even when Ellen isn't behind a grammar table sign, which is most of the time, we laugh and laugh. I mean, our life is just full of laughter and play. So it carries through with her interactions with other people. She is genuinely curious about other people, and the word that she used, joy. She takes joy in experiencing other people, learning from them, connecting with them.
Brandt has brought up participles at 3 o'clock in the morning. So, I mean, you just never know what's going to happen.
Well, but I mean, that totally comes through, and I think people coming up to your table and feeling that energy obviously comes into it. And the wonderful thing is, and so humorous, is that so many people had the same issues in every state of the union. And the way that it affected their relationships. I mean, my eldest daughter is such a grammar snob that she won't go out with anybody if they can't talk properly, and by her judgment, you know what I mean? And we saw that in the film too. It's like deal breaker. Can't do your or your. I should have known he was going to be my ex-husband. Yeah. So the grammar does break down those things. You got a blurb on the cover from Mary Norris, who did Between You and Me. Do you know some of the people, like the author of Eats, Shoots, and Leaves, and Between You and Me, and those sorts of things? Are you a consortium of people that deal with grammar?
I do actually feel as though there is a little bit of that. So I know a lot of the people who are well known in the language world, but not Lynn Truss, who wrote Eats, Shoots, and Leaves. I do not know. My agent tried to get her to blurb my book when it was coming out, and she declined. And what I understand is that she's writing exclusively mysteries now. So that language experience is behind her. But I stayed up till 4 a.m. reading her book when it came out. I was very excited about that. I mean, to go into bookstores and see a language book piled up to the ceiling was just like a thrilling. I mean, it would be nice if it had been my book, but it's also just
that's happening. That's happening.
It's also just very exciting, though, to me, because it is the whole thing is full of just wonder and curiosity, and I love. I mean, if I were really into canoe building or something, maybe it would be a canoe building table, but I'm really into grammar, and it is more people are interested in that.
Yeah,
so it works out.
Do you know Mary Norris? Because she did blurb your book. Do you know her?
Yes, she's a friend of ours, and she's been very supportive of this film. So we're very grateful to her for that, but also just for being. She did the Q&A with us at our first big screening in Manhattan.
Yeah, awesome. She's a great lady, and her book is amazing too. But just like yours. So
Mary Norris has friends here tonight. Yay!
So you wrote the book during COVID, and you hadn't done 50 states yet, but you said, well, what am I going to do with the downtime? I'll just write the book anyway, even though I haven't finished the 50 states, yeah? Is that how that came about?
I personally did not think that I needed to do 50 states to do this project at all. Brandt had a slight difference of opinion with me about that.
I thought 50 states was a really good idea, and we should do all 50. Ellen thought that might be a little extreme.
It was a lot. lot. It's a
No,
lot
but
of
I think
stage.
I think it's a great framing mechanism to do that and to show the universality of a lot of these questions.
Well,
I
fine.
was-
You guys are both right. But anyway.
So I wanted to finish up. After
Yeah.
COVID, we had 3 states to go. I didn't want to finish the film on 47 states. Okay, maybe it was okay for the book, fine, but not for the film. I wanted it to be 50, so we did that.
Well, that goes to the filmmaking question too, because you say you're a first-time filmmaker, but there were so many aspects of the film that seemed so professional. I loved the travel aspect of it, the footage you got of the different locations, but before we got to the humanity part, the human people and the interactions, and the scoring you did for that. Did it take you a long time to figure out the scoring for the different states because it had such a great vibe to the different areas?
Yes, so the music and the editing, I shot 400 hours of footage, and the editing, including the scoring and figuring
We
out.
didn't have a crew, so all the camera and sound and everything, he was doing that. I was doing conjugating, and he was doing absolutely everything else.
So
Oh, and he was standing in the background smiling. Come on, we
Yeah,
had
there's
that going
that.
for you.
I don't know how that got into the film. Strange.
Who directed that?
No. But it was months and months of musical consideration and editing. So it was 6 years or so of the editing process.
Did you have to
which-
do a lot of licensing for that to get that music?
Yeah, so we have 4 Lisa Loeb songs, and we licensed those directly with Lisa. And late in the process, I engaged a music supervisor because I'd never done this before. I'd spent years on it and thought, why don't I have someone who knows what she's doing take a look at and see whether this is okay. She's the manager for Lisa Loeb and suggested, how about some Lisa Loeb tracks? And I said, awesome.
They were perfect.
So I loved, when I first heard she offered, here's a selection of Lisa Loeb songs you might want to consider. I listened to them, heard the song that finishes the film and the credits, Say Hello, and I just started crying.
Yeah. No, that was absolutely so
But
perfect.
also, you're
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
the other thing that you licensed all the music
Yes,
from. All
so
the other.
we needed to license Evil Woman from Sony Music. I thought, that's worth it.
Medieval Woman, you mean. Medieval Woman.
Excuse me, Medieval Woman. Yes, and there were between 30 and 40 tracks overall. The rest of them came from a music catalog called APM Music. They have over 1 million songs. They do a lot of big budget features and commercials, and they will work with a independent documentary filmmaker.
It's like stock photos. It's a whole library, a catalog.
More than 1 million songs. So
Fantastic.
I spent a lot of time going through the, APM Music and selecting what would work for the different
Well,
beats and
I
moments.
think it was brilliant. It really added
Thank
to
you so
the
much.
filming
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
collected.
I'm really appreciating these comments because, in all seriousness, I mean, I could see him working for a lot of the 6.5 years from the room where I spent just 2.5 years writing the book. So much more efficient. But I just
But
was,
who's counting?
I was just amazed at the obstacles that he overcame because he was on his own and he didn't have experience. And just if we weren't our 2-person community, I would just still be sitting next to a garbage can with a grammar table by myself talking, which is fine. I like doing that, but I don't know how he overcame the informational and experiential obstacles. It boggles my mind, and I pat myself on the back for choosing him 31 years ago.
Good choice. Good choice. That was pointed out by a couple of people.
Thank you, honey.
And I don't know how the director kept that in, but I think that, again, to the humanity of your own relationship, the wonderful getting into the elevator, you think you can give me a hand here? and good of you to keep that in.
Yeah. I had an early rough cut screening of 2.5 or 3.5 years ago. I've forgotten. I've lost track. But the first screening to people, which was a big moment because I've been alone in a room for years, and I thought, okay, good idea to have other people see, because this isn't for me. And one of the things that came up was they were interested in maybe some more of, I had some of what was happening between us and some conflict. So I said, okay, let's lean
There
into
could have been a lot more.
That's right. Out of those
Thank
400
you,
hours.
though. Thank you.
Cutting room floor. That's good stuff. Okay, back to another filmmaking question about the last credits. The cutouts of every state with the cameos inside. Okay, was that your idea also?
It was, and I felt very happy when I thought about that. Wasn't sure how I would execute it, because thank you.
It was brilliant.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
Brilliant.
I thought that was great that the Lisa Loeb music played under that as well. It all came together very well.
It came
Thank
together
you.
beautifully. I
Thank
think
you for that.
The
Thank you.
filmmaking, for someone who's making their first film, for anyone who's making a million films, it was great. But for someone making their first film, kind of incredible. But I think the way of having conversations with the world, that idea that by the grammar table you can have conversations with the world. Again, not online, not virtually, but face-to-face with people in whatever state they live in and so forth. Just kind of brilliant. And you could see from the reaction here that this has unbelievably broad appeal. Obviously, we're probably selling a bunch of books. I'm hoping you're selling a bunch of books. Yes?
Yes, it is the holiday season.
Hence the table in the lobby. But what about the film's future? I mean, this has got to get distribution, yes?
We had a distribution deal offered to us, yes, and it turns out that distribution deals, at least this and many others, give away all the rights and most of the money and all of the control, and that didn't feel great. So we, had our lawyers look at it and thought about it and said no. We were getting lots of incoming inquiries from cinemas all over the country, from festivals, from people who wanted to see it, school systems, and we thought, let's do this ourselves. And we weren't quite sure what that meant, but we have been figuring it out, and we've been traveling all over the country doing dozens of screenings at cinemas and festivals, winning awards, and we will have a national broadcast on PBS in May.
Awesome. That's great. That's fantastic.
Can we also just mention Brandt's also working on educational distribution, which to me is very important.
Yeah, that's going to
super.
be a big part of what happens, and we're just starting that licensing to schools, to universities, to libraries, educational institutions. That's going to be a significant thing that we're
That's
starting
fantastic.
now.
And then after that, you take your stand-up routine on the road, and you got a whole other situation. We have time for just a couple of questions. So right over there. There's a microphone coming your way.
Hi, I'm wondering how often, and maybe you could tell a quick story about people that walk by and say, grammar, we got other things to worry about, or our president speaks at a second grade level. Why do we care about grammar?
Well, this is an interesting question to me. I do get tagged on stuff with political content, or that some huge crime was committed and there's text in there with a grammar issue, and I always stay very far away from that, because I want to make very clear what my priorities are in the world, and I just don't like that angle. I don't hear that very much at the grammar table. I do sometimes hear people say grammar as they keep walking, but we don't really encounter a lot of that, right?
Not a lot of that, and the sort of political aspect of it. This is, in some ways, a political film because it is about people and they're interacting with each other, respecting, receiving, acknowledging one another in a way that leaves aside the stuff that makes people hate each other and connect with the stuff that you can actually appreciate and have a moment with another human being.
Because that is real too. That also counts.
So that is, in a fundamental sense, political. But in putting this film out, and I know Ellen in the doing of the table, we did not want to take a side on politics. We didn't want to insert any sort of divisive element. I'm for this and against that. And there is, you may have noticed, a red-capped Make America Great person, and that is a political statement from him he's putting out there. But he approached the table, Ellen received him, and they had a nice interaction and wished each other well and had a moment. So
I'm
overtly
pro-participle.
Pro-participle. not overtly political as a film, but
And
fundamentally
the point was
so.
made by people at the table as well as by you that this is what unites us, not what divides us, is language, and that's how we can all come to the same table.
It can divide us, but there is a way to set this up, the experience at the table, so that it doesn't feel like that.
But it does require, I think, the ability to laugh at ourselves and to laugh together and to have that kind of positive energy and that willingness. It's about willingness, paying attention and having willingness. I think we have time for one more question. I'm sorry, we don't have more time. Yeah, right here.
Hello, Chris.
Hello. First off, is this on?
Yeah.
First off, I'd like to thank you for releasing me from torturous sentences that don't end with a preposition. Which I still pay attention to, but I'm not anymore.
To which you pay attention still.
Yeah. Yes, and it's not in dialogue, it's when you're writing, and you write something and you go, oh, no, I can't do that. Well, now I can. I wanted to know did you prepare yourself in any way before going out, or did you go out already with all of that knowledge in place, and did you learn certain things, not the sort of general things, but certain grammatical things during your years of doing it?
I have always had a collection of style guides, usage guides, and read extensively about language. The project I had before this was called Words and Worlds of New York, and I serially studied different languages from all over that were spoken by large numbers of New Yorkers. But I think it's in the film, something like 25, 28 languages. In doing that, I had a lot of exposure. See, social media was good for me as well because it helped me meet people from all over the world and really expand my understanding of language, different grammatical structures across languages, different sound inventories across languages, and also different English dialects. And I think that experience, so social media gave me an exposure that I did not have in my real life, which made me more open, which expanded my horizons and made me ready for a grammar table.
Perfect. Another question? We have one way in the back there. Can I have a microphone?
I'm 75 and I've never laughed so hard in my life. and what it does to us, all of a sudden we're a community because we laugh together. And this is such a huge gift that you have given us. So I don't have a question. I just have major thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
What about grammar school? There used to be grammar schools, remember? Yeah. Elementary school used to be called grammar school. Yeah. Not anymore. Another question? Back there? There's a microphone coming to you. Yes.
Me? Wait. I hate these things. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the film immensely. I've seen a lot of films during the festival, and one of the ladies last night was kind enough to tell me, make sure you don't miss this. So I bought a ticket, and here I am. I'm a little embarrassed to ask you this, but are you still doing the grammar table? I noticed that you had the table planted pretty much outside the 72nd Subway Street, which is where I often live. Well, on the Upper West Side is where I live, not at the subway station. But now that the movie's done, are you going to continue with the grammar table? That was the question.
I have been out there. I've been out at 72nd, at Verdi Square, 72nd and Broadway a few times in recent weeks. We've been mostly not in New York, because we've been on the road, but we're back more now, and I go out. And I also go out at the events. I always set up before the event, after the event. So if any of you have any grammar comments, questions, or complaints, please find me after the film.
No, when you go to 72nd Street now, are you still filming, or you just go on your own?
Is that what you meant, just setting up the
No,
table or filming? Yeah, I do set up the table. Just set up the table to... Yeah, well, it's good for my mental health, so part of this is just self-interest.
Sounds good. Another question? Over here. Wait for the microphone, please.
Okay, now you've gone 50 states with the table. Do you want to go to all 50 states with the film to different festivals and places, or do you think now it's going to be on PBS, you don't need to?
It's not that we would need to do that necessarily, but we have loved the travels. We're most of the way to 50. Just with the film, so it has been sort of a continuation of what was a community building really experience with the table in these little communities that would gather around the table, and now they're a bit larger communities with the film, but so this experience is continuing in a rather consistent way that is just miraculous. So we will continue doing that, and most of the travels we've been having and the screenings we've been having have been at art house cinemas around the country, some at festivals, and we will continue that, I think, at perhaps a bit slower pace because we're a little tired.
I don't want people to feel as though they're in detention here after a grammar class. Do you think we should
take it to the hall? Yes, we absolutely.
Should we maybe wrap up? But I
Yes.
want to say something first.
Please do.
Okay. I just want to elaborate a little bit on the holiday gift giving things, so you know all the practical details. So there is a stack of. I signed all the books while you're sitting here. And they're $20 a piece. So if you are really hungry and you just want to book out of here, you can hand one of us $20 per book and just grab a book seriously and leave. They're already signed. But if you want them inscribed, or you want, to all your 7 grandchildren, so that you can make sure that they know which pronoun case to use in a particular sentence, I'm ready. I love doing personalized inscriptions, and we do take credit cards.
Look at that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.